listening to Strange Label.
Hello, this is the Chris Break Show. I'm Chris Break, sitting here with my good friend John Rapp and this guy Jake. We're live every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on strangelabel.com. Go to chrisbreakshow.com for past episodes. Let's do this thing. Something crazy happened there. I think I liked it. This is Chris Break Show. Chris Break Show with John and Jake and our good friend Nicole.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Good. How are you doing today, Nicole?
Good. I'm doing fine. Thank you.
That sounds a little sad. All right, that's better.
That's better.
We have something crazy going on today. I was going to look up the name of the episodes. John, figure out the numbers of the episodes, if you can. John didn't even have his mic in front of his face. And he made the effort. He pulled it over to his face and made a big loud noise. And then he did not say anything.
I thought I had him.
Oh, okay.
I thought I had him written down. And
I should have too. I fucked up. Okay, so here's what's happening today. Okay, here's the deal, all right? This is our big showdown, as Daniel Johnson calls it, throwing a dog and a cat into a room together. Although sometimes dogs and cats are best friends. So maybe they'll be best friends at the end. But we will be having Mr. Mike Norton, who is from NewNameNoah, at NewNameNoah on Twitter. And he makes it his personal goal to expose everything he can of the church, Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints, a.k.a. Mormons. That is correct. And not fundamentalist Mormons. There's a difference.
and he used to be a Mormon.
He used to be a Mormon.
That was episode 116, Chris Break Show, episode 116.
Where we spoke to
Mike Norton, NewNameNoah.
NewNameNoah, number 116. And the reason why we had him on, because we're putting him on the same show now as Daniel Johnson, who is a high priest of the Church of Latter-day Saints. And he is very upset that NewNameNoah would go in to the, what are they called?
Temple?
The temple. And he would videotape the secret ceremonies, these secret rituals, these mysterious events, and he would upload them to the internet for the world to see. And this is an unacceptable act to anybody who is a Mormon.
But he also says there's nothing really secret going on. Nothing
Yes.
at all. Nothing to be worried about. And he'll tell you all about it.
Daniel Johnson tells you that you are welcome to go see these ceremonies, these secret rituals. You can come into their church. But you got to climb the ranks to get to these things. And they sound very much, these secret rituals sound very much like Freemasonry initiations. And I talked to a buddy I have, he will remain anonymous, who is a Freemason, and it was a funny conversation. He would not reveal what would happen in these rituals, these ceremonies.
Yeah, they're not allowed to.
But he told me the word to use to Google it. I can't remember it.
Oh, God.
But I looked
I'm just going to Google it.
But I looked it up. I think it might have the word craft in it. I looked it up, and it sounded exactly like the Temple Endowment ceremony, which is the Mormon secret ritual.
Wow.
Very, very similar. Two guys talking to each other, reciting this thing back and forth, and then giving each other something, and no, you cannot have it. I do not have it. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. And NewNameNoah, or Daniel Johnson was on episode number...
He was on 2. He was on episode 114 and originally on 107.
107. And the reason why we had him back on was because we talked to NewNameNoah and we read more into this thing, because the reason why this high priest of the Church of Latter-day Saints wanted to come on the first place is to promote his books, and more importantly, he said the people view our religion as very mysterious. So I want to come on and get through that and let answer any questions you have so that you'll be more comfortable with it. But I wasn't really that concerned with Mormonism until after I spoke to the guy. Then I was all freaked out because he wouldn't tell us things. We'd hit roadblocks with him. And then we found out that a lot of the questions I was asking him, it seemed like he was misleading us or not being completely honest. And that's what Mike Noren was telling us, New Name Noah.
He said the guy flat out lied.
Flat out lied at times. I hope Mike remembers what those things were, because I don't. It's been too long. This is another unplanned show, live on strangelabel.com. And we didn't do any research, because that's not what we do. Nicole's a research beast, though.
We've done 2 episodes worth of research.
Yeah, we're on a roll, dude.
Nicole, do you know much about this stuff? Mormons and Mason and stuff like that?
It's very secretive, and I learned a little bit more after watching the videos that the guy went in with the camera. And it's still I don't know too much about it. I mean, it looks a little bit, I don't know what's the word to use, but I'm very interested to hear both of them speak at the same time.
Yeah, I'd like to hear it. I would like, all I really want in this life, Nicole, are answers. I just want the truth, and I feel like speaking to this, I feel like I wasn't getting the truth, and I just want to know
you aren't getting the truth.
Yeah, what is this thing and why? Like I wake up one day and I find myself in a conversation with some high priest from the Church of Latter-day Saints. I'm like, this is a nice guy. And then all of a sudden, I'm confused by what he's telling me. And he's talking in circles. Was Mary naturally impregnated by God?
And did you ask him that?
Yes.
What was his answer?
I don't know.
Oh.
It was not yes. It was not no.
Yeah, I'm interested in that question.
Because that means that God banged a woman.
That's what they're saying, yeah. But then he'll tell you, it's not really
Their
what
God.
we said.
Their God.
Yeah, and who is that?
Well, that's apparently...
That's another good question.
Yeah, we should get these guys on because...
Elohim.
That I'm interested. What I found very interesting is they mentioned on the Facebook page that somebody was assigned to the Facebook page and the word cult wasn't allowed to be used on that page.
Yes, Mike Norton has a very good video about that on New Name Noah. He has the it's the training video for for the social media people who have to control the Facebook page.
Yeah, I think I seen that. Yeah, that's the one I seen. They have to control the Facebook. Yeah. And then after watching it, he realized he was in a cult.
Oh yeah,
But I'm very interested to hear what they got to say.
There's a reason why you're not allowed to use the word cult.
Yeah, I know.
Because you might be one.
You might be in one.
But I am fascinated by this, and I love watching. I couldn't even tell you how many Charles Manson documentaries I've seen in my life. I couldn't even tell you how many I've seen in the past week alone. I just love watching them. I'm so fascinated by how people get control and then, what happens with it. Especially that Jim Jones, the People's Temple.
Well, maybe that's why he don't want to give certain answers.
But that would, I don't know. If he's doing it intentionally, then that would lead.
Well, that's the question. Is it intentionally or,
If he's doing it intentionally, that means that he must believe that by exposing these things, people will think that they're a cult.
Yes.
Okay, so if there's any time we're talking to him and he's intentionally being vague or not giving us a yes or no, then that means that he knows that he's in a cult.
Do we get to point that out to him?
You can say whatever you want to him. He's a
we just listen.
he's a very nice, intelligent guy. He just happens to subscribe to a different faith than the majority of the world.
It's just a little bit more secretive than a majority of the world.
That's the
why.
other thing.
That's the problem. I could work into a Catholic church, a Christian church, a mosque, I guess, and it's not secretive like the Mormon church. So,
Yeah. Plus,
no, that's why I guess a lot of people have questions.
Yeah, and you're a woman, so like, and you're treated differently as a woman in the Mormon faith.
Well, I'm kind of scared to walk in there now after watching the video. No, I'm kidding. It's not funny, but
Oh no,
okay.
you got a point.
They don't do any genital mutilation. Okay, I think we should.
Oh no, it's so secretive. No.
Should we get both them on at the same time?
Yes, the same time.
Okay. No,
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Daniel Johnson.
Daniel Johnson.
Yes.
Welcome back, man. I like hearing your voice.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, then.
John. See, Daniel, we're having text. I can't say that. Hey, Daniel, welcome back to the show.
Well, thanks. Good to be back.
You're going to be on the phone with Nicole and Mike. New name Noah. Have you looked up Mike or done any more research on him after the last time we spoke?
No. Let me see.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, Nicole's back.
I'm back.
What, Daniel?
No, I don't recall getting a whole lot of specific info from him, or about him, I should say. Did you guys?
No, we didn't send you anything.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't really know where to look.
Did you listen to the episode that he was on?
No, so I'm kind of running into this blind and unprepared, I guess.
Hey, man, welcome to the Chris Brake Show. This is our second unplanned show of the month. Hello?
Okay, then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll call him Mike. We'll see if he answers.
And who's Nicole?
She is our friend. She is a past guest. We picked her up along the way because we like talking to her. And she,
Okay, cool.
And she helps with the
Hi,
female.
how are you?
She helps with the female perspective.
Okay.
You
That's
know,
always a good perspective to have.
yeah, we can't just have a bunch of
Thank you.
sausages sitting in this room without a bun.
A bun. Okay.
Nicole's our bun, Daniel.
Oh, that's nice.
Did you know that, Nicole? Or is that news
No,
to you?
I didn't. That's news to me.
Hey, Daniel, I have a question. Most churches, sometimes they call each other brother and things like that. What do you guys call each other?
Same kind of thing, brother and sister.
Brother and sister.
Or just, or just, someone's name.
Does anybody ever, like Catholics, they say father? Do you got any?
No, father isn't a term that we use. I mean, for Catholics and other ones, that they call the priest that. No one's called father because, well, I mean, he's not your father.
Now, Nicole had a little bit of reservations about Mike Norton's having a little bit of Skype problems. We're figuring it out. She had some reservations about going in there because all we told her that we knew was you guys had a little bit of a different way of approaching women. You guys.
Who does?
The Mormons. I mean, or people believe it. Here's the other thing. People believe. And that's one of the things that you're here to do is like kind of settle some rumors. But one of the general things up there with the magic underwear and the other things that I know that aren't as true as people think they are apparently, is different treatment for women over men in the church. Is that a thing?
I wouldn't say so.
We seem to have the impression that there was.
There's a video of Mike, and there's some sort of service happening, and they're not letting the women in. They're letting men in, and the place is even like not even close to being full, and the women are all having to stand outside in a line, and they probably won't even get to be a part of the service, and all the men get to go.
Okay, I think I know what that might be. Our church has twice a year. I'm just guessing this is what you're referring to.
That sounds right.
So twice a year we have a general conference, and so it's a weekend kind of thing, a Saturday and a Sunday, and there are sessions Saturday and Sunday. On Saturday night there is a priesthood session for men, and so it's messages for them. It's advice and things kind of with what men have to deal with.
So the women are not, but no, this was a public thing. I mean, it wasn't specifically for men. Is Mike on here?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers!
Mike Norton, new name Noah. Hey, Mike.
Yes, I am.
Mike, what was that video you were filming where the women weren't allowed into the building? Even though they had tickets, or you got in.
Oh, that was the priesthood session of General Conference a couple of years ago. There was actually a hailstorm, so it was hailing outside, and there was hundreds of women standing outside in the rain and hail. Meanwhile, inside the tabernacle on Temple Square, there were literally thousands of empty seats in there, and yet none of those women were allowed to actually come inside and attend.
Why not?
Because they don't have penises. Come on. No, they don't have the priesthood. It's if they don't have the priesthood, they can't attend the priesthood session. And of course, Mormons will say, well, the women have their own session. Yeah, but men can attend the women's session, and the women's session is actually conducted by and presided over by men. So men run the women's session. Women can't even attend the men's session, but their 12-year-old boys can.
Is that true, Mike or Daniel?
I can see this is already going to be lots of fun.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I actually have a bottle of Fireball here, and every time Daniel says something that's just complete bullshit...
He hasn't done that yet, though.
I'm going to take a shot. No, he hasn't yet, but I'm going to take a shot of Fireball every time Daniel blatantly lies to his teeth or says something ridiculous. So go ahead, Daniel. Tell him, can 12-year-old boys attend the priesthood session, but women can't?
That is correct.
Now, here's the kicker.
Are women allowed to be a part of the priesthood? Like, what is the priesthood?
No. That is the authority to act in the name of God.
So they can't be a priest.
No, but here's the kicker. You don't even have to be a Mormon to attend the priesthood session. As long as you are male, you can attend. I went to Temple Square on that video that you're talking about where the women weren't allowed in, but the men were. I went there, talked to Mormon missionaries, and I specifically said, I am not a Mormon. Can I attend this what are you guys doing? And they said, oh, it's a priesthood session. Yes. And they hustled me right up to the front of the line, and before I knew it, I got a ticket to go across the street and attend the priesthood session in person at the conference center, and I wasn't even a Mormon. And I told them I'm not a Mormon.
Well, why do the women stand outside if it's a man-only thing?
Because those women were part of what they call a movement called Ordained Women. It's hundreds of women, thousands of women really, that want the Mormon Church to allow them to hold the priesthood. And so it's their way of protesting. They went up to the front of the line and asked one at a time, may I come inside? And every one of them was told, nope.
Daniel, are you familiar with this movement?
Yes, I've heard of it.
Why aren't women allowed into the priesthood?
How do I answer? Do I want Mike to be really drunk by the end of this program, or do I want him to not have...
You're calling the shots, Daniel.
Yeah. Answer honestly. For once.
What was that? I missed that last little bit you said. Could you say that again?
For once. Answer honestly for once. I have a whole list of things that you said that were full of shit in episode 107. I didn't bother listening to 114 because I couldn't listen to you lie through your fucking teeth for another hour.
What did he lie about?
Oh my God! I've got a list. You want me to start?
Give me one. Yeah, just give me one here first.
Okay. Well, let's see. My personal favorite, although it's not really a blatant lie so much as you guys asked him, is it true that the Garden of Eden, that Mormons believe the Garden of Eden is in Missouri? His answer was, maybe. Maybe? Oh, okay. Daniel, you are so full of shit, and you know it.
Hold on. So, Daniel, is it in Missouri?
That was a teaching of Joseph Smith. That was the area. I think in Jackson County. So, is that a belief? Yes. What does that actually mean? Well, we'll wait to see.
Do you believe that it's in Missouri?
It's not anymore.
Wait,
Do you believe?
Daniel,
Do you
Daniel,
believe that it was in Missouri?
I would say, for me personally, I would say that it could have been. And
could have been.
Yeah.
Daniel, you're on the edge of apostasy.
Do you?
It is the current doctrine of the church that Adam Ondai Amen, also known as the place where Adam and Eve worship God, was in Jackson County, Missouri, and that is where Jesus Christ himself will come back to earth when he comes back for his second coming. For you to act like, oh, Joseph Smith might have taught that back then, but we don't believe that.
I never said he might have taught that. I said he did teach that. Very different.
And that is current church doctrine, that the Garden of Eden, where Adam and Eve lived, was in Jackson fucking County, Missouri. Is that true or is it not?
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. Finally, an honest answer.
Finally.
That wasn't too bad.
One down, 25 more to go.
But Daniel, you said you don't believe that? Or you do?
I didn't say I didn't.
I thought you said you didn't believe it.
I didn't say I didn't believe that. I mean,
Anymore.
I said possibly.
I mean, it's fine.
No, you said
Daniel. Here's my only message to you is like, if you believe it, go. It's fine, man. Like, go ahead and say you believe it. You don't have to, if there's something weird about women in the church, you can come out and say it. If you actually believe that the Garden of Eden's in, that's fine. You could say that. We're not going to judge you.
I'll tell you.
I just want to hear something.
We just want to understand.
We're not saying anything wrong about it, Daniel.
I'll tell you what I believe. I'm giving my personal opinion. I mean, I don't know for sure. I believe it could have been. I believe there might be more to it.
So that means you're not.
I've answered you as best I can. I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about it. And as far as what teachings are important to me and what I really want to concentrate on.
Do you believe
Joseph
Smith's teaching of it to be true?
Yes, I believe it to be true, but I'm not sure exactly what it means.
Oh, God. Guys,
Mike
this is typical Mormonism. I got to tell you, this is a typical Mormon where they can't give you straightforward yes or no answers. If you say, is it true that Joseph Smith married little girls, 14-year-olds, and other men's wives? Up until 2 or 3 years ago, probably 9 out of 10 Mormons would say absolutely not. Even now, if you were to ask them, did Joseph Smith marry little girls and other men's wives? Most Mormons will probably say no because they're unaware of the fact that he did.
Okay.
However, the Mormon Church somewhat recently admitted in an essay that was released with very little fanfare, except for the newspapers picked it up, that yes, in fact, they admitted that Joseph Smith married numerous women who were already actively currently married, and he did have at least one wife who was 14 years old.
Daniel, you knew that, right?
Yeah.
Daniel probably is in the camp where he believes that he didn't actually have sex with his wives, though. Daniel, do you think Joseph Smith had sex with his polygamous wives, or was he only sleeping with Emma?
I believe he had sex with his wives, or at least.
Congratulations! You're one of the few Mormons that'll actually be honest about that, because most Mormons will claim that Joseph Smith just married them for eternity. He wasn't marrying them for sexual purposes, and there was no sex involved. It's astounding how many Mormons will actually tell you that Joseph Smith did not have sex.
So Daniel's a good Mormon here.
Well, Daniel's full of shit.
What's the next thing on the list?
Daniel's on the spot. Oh, well, let's see. The next one, you guys asked him if, let's see, do Mormons believe that Jesus was born to a virgin? And Daniel said, yes. Now, Daniel, here's one of those cases where Daniel may be being honest, but I suspect he's probably lying. If he's a high priest, he's probably well aware of the doctrines that have been taught by church leaders for well over 100 years. And let me give you an example here. Here's a quote from a former Mormon apostle who wrote a book called Mormon Doctrine. Now, this is not canonized scripture, but Bruce R. McConkie, who wrote this, was, Daniel believed, to be a prophet, seer, and revelator. And he said, Christ was born into the world as the literal son of this holy being. He was born in the same personal, real, and literal sense that any mortal man is born to a mortal father. There is nothing figurative about his paternity. He was begotten, conceived, and born in the normal and natural course of events. Christ is a son of man, meaning that his father, the eternal God, is a holy man. And says that Christ was begotten by his immortal father in the same way that mortal men are begotten by mortal fathers. You can just, Google is your friend, Daniel. You can Google.
I asked him originally if she was naturally impregnated by God, I believe.
Yeah, God, who Mormons believe is an exalted man of flesh and bone. Yes, if you dig deep enough, most high priests in the Mormon church will at least admit to themselves that they believe, or the church teaches, that God had sexual intercourse with the Virgin Mary.
Nice. That sounds like
However,
a superhero comic.
Well, yeah, Elohim flying down. Elohim the Kolabian.
Who's Elohim?
Elohim is what they refer to as God the Father in the temples.
Daniel, who's Elohim?
Nicole asked that. Who do they worship? That's Elohim,
That's what
right?
I said. The question is, who is their God?
Is it Elohim?
We worship God the Father through Jesus Christ. Elohim is actually a Hebrew word. It means God or gods, and it's the common way that God was referred to in the Old Testament. It's a Hebrew word for God.
Okay.
Mormons believe that Elohim was once an imperfect man who grew into perfection and became God, just as Jesus Christ was an imperfect woman.
So they have an origin story on God.
Oh, yeah. God has a father, and his father has a father, and so on and so on.
That's impressive. John,
for eternity.
John, do you have an origin story on where God came from?
No.
That blows my mind.
Yeah, that is interesting to think about.
So he was a man who became perfect and then became a god?
Yeah, just like Daniel believes that he can eventually grow into godhood. Daniel believes, well, let me rephrase. The Mormon church teaches people like Daniel that if they pay their tithing and they wear their magic underwear and they go to the temple and they practice their little special Masonic handshakes, that they can someday become a god themselves and that they'll be able to create worlds without end.
Daniel, is all that true? Uh-oh.
It's a
basically, I mean, I would say it's true, I guess, without as much of an insulting tone, but yeah, sort of.
Okay, we got a beeping. Hello? You're on the air. Hello. Oh, I guess nobody's there. Is everybody still here?
Let me throw out another tidbit here. Daniel said in episode 107 that Solomon is regarded as the first Mason. I actually had milk come out of my nose when he said that. I was laughing so hard, and I wasn't drinking milk.
What did he say? Solomon what?
He said Solomon this is an exact quote, actually. Solomon is regarded as the first Mason. You know how Mormon temple rituals.
Solomon?
King Solomon from the Bible. They have Solomon's temple. The Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, where all the Jews stand there and they say the little prayers. That wall there is the last remaining part, essentially, of Solomon's temple. And Mormons, a lot of Mormons, actually believe, as Daniel does, that Freemasonry dates all the way back to biblical times, where Solomon was actually the first Mason. And that is so ridiculous that it's like,
so
oh my God.
What's ridiculous? I guess I don't understand, because I don't know really who any of those people are or what those things mean. Like
Freemasonry does not date back thousands of years.
Okay.
So, but see, that's where Mormons claim that their handshakes in the temples come from. They say that Joseph Smith restored the eternal temple endowment ceremony, and parts of it were lost. Precious parts of this temple ceremony were lost. I'm curious, and perhaps Daniel can answer, why if Joseph Smith restored the temple endowment ceremony in the 1840s, why has it changed so much? If he restored what was originally lost, for example, in 1990. Daniel, why did they remove the penalties from the temple endowment ceremony in 1990 and stop chanting Pele Ale? You know?
Well, I don't think the guest here needs me to answer anything, because he pretty much has his own answers.
But I think he wants to hear what you say, and I'd like to hear.
You're right. I don't think he wants to hear what I say, because
I do, though.
He has his own answers, and he can certainly talk for a long time.
I'd like to hear.
When I mentioned about Solomon being the first Mason, I read that in a book about Masonic legends. So there are legends within Masonry as to what their origin story is and where it comes from. And so I've read a number of books by Masons trying to trace back their origin story. Some trace it back thousands of years. The current belief is that it dates back to, that it's kind of like a Renaissance or men's club. Some people date it back to medieval stonemasonry. I'm sure some of the organization dates back that far, but there's enough in Freemasonry that doesn't seem anything about stoneworking that I believe there could be some ancient elements to it. Certainly Masonic legends believe that their origin is much more ancient than that. And so I was just saying that was kind of from a Masonic legend point of view, that there's the idea that it is ancient knowledge and ancient ritual.
Okay.
So you read it in a book that it was a legend, therefore you're going to pass it off as fact when you talk to the guys on the Chris Brake show.
I'm not
Gotcha.
fact. I'm saying that's Masonic legend. I don't know what's fact or not.
Your exact words on the show was Solomon is regarded as the first Mason. You didn't say, I read this in a book about Masonic legends. Interesting.
Yeah, I understand that point.
Yeah. Hey, one thing that Daniel covered on his very first interview with you guys, he talked about the lay ministry of the LDS Church.
What does lay ministry mean?
That means that that the person who is in charge of your typical Mormon congregation is not paid. That he's just a regular member of the church, and he might be a plumber or a lawyer or anything else. But what Daniel failed to mention was that every single general authority, every mission president, every apostle, and every prophet in the Mormon church are paid extremely well. And for some reason, the Mormon church is one of the very few religions on earth that actually tells their members how much their leaders are paid. In fact, the average Mormon apostle, there's 15 of them, the average Mormon apostle has 2 homes valued at about $700,000 altogether. So I'm curious if Daniel is aware of the fact that his Mormon apostles and prophets and general.
So you're saying that Daniel told me that the priests don't get paid? The
priests do not. The priests do not get paid. The bishops and the stake presidents don't get paid. But there's hundreds of people, high-ranking officials in the Mormon Church, who are paid. God only knows how much money. I mean, Gordon B. Hinckley, one of their former prophets, came as close to admitting how much they get paid as the next person when he basically said that they are paid a comparable salary, and I'm paraphrasing here. He said they're paid a comparable salary for a corporation of the same size of the Mormon Church. Well, if there's a $7 billion corporation out there, I guarantee you their CEOs are making enough money to have 2, 3, or 4 homes.
Now, is there a problem? Like, I don't know, John, do you see a problem with that? Like, I mean, the guy.
Well, I read that I don't know how true it is, that it's the Mormons' goal to actually gain control of this country.
Yeah, that dates back a long ways. It's
But is that an agenda that's in,
It's part of their. And Daniel, why don't you go ahead and take this one? Do the Mormons want to take over the country, Daniel? Are Mormons going to save the Constitution as it hangs by a thread.
Well, I didn't say that was the goal to save the Constitution. I said that the goal was to take control.
Yeah, those are two different things there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daniel, what do you think?
The goal might be to put the Constitution in the trash. I don't know, but the goal that I read was to take control.
Well, I can certainly say I've never heard that. The goal is to protect and defend the Constitution. We believe that this country has a divine origin and a divine mission, and that all good people should play a part in supporting it. I mean, it is supposed to be a government of the people, and we believe that we can play an important role if people are forgetting the principles that this country was founded on. Then it could be up to us to try and vote in such a way.
You're doing?
What's that?
Is that what you're doing?
We're always encouraged to be politically active, to vote according to our consciences, to elect righteous people to office. And
I also read that there was a lot of Mormons that are actually, in higher places right now.
Okay, what higher places?
Government and things like that. I mean, is that true?
Well, I mean, there are Mormon senators, there are Mormon governors. I mean,
but is that because they just happen to become a part of the government, or is it because you're actually fulfilling what you believe?
What was that question again?
Is it because they're just, are you actually putting people, to fulfill your goal to take total control?
I don't know about a goal to take total control. I really don't.
Is it just a coincidence that there's a lot of Mormons that are in the government?
Would you prefer that the entire Senate be made up of Mormons?
No, that would probably be a bad idea.
Really?
But I don't know what you mean by a lot. I mean, compared to any other religion in our country, there certainly aren't a lot. But if our government is a representative of the people who live here, of various beliefs and backgrounds, we would be included in that, right?
Yeah, you would, but that's not what I was saying. What you said before was that you do have, one of your goals. Well, I'm going to use the word goal so it's easier for people to understand. So one of your goals is for the Mormons to actually take control of the country. And right now, from what I was reading,
I never said that. I've never heard that.
Or maybe I misunderstood. I don't know. Did he say that a little while ago?
We did have a Mormon running for president, but I don't believe that Obama running for president means that the blacks are trying to take over the country.
But the thing that I found disturbing, we talked about last time, there was a prayer of
But being an organization of people, such as a church, is a whole different thing than being, a specific skin color.
Keep in mind, Nicole, that all Mormons who have been through the temple and have received their endowments is what they say. So all Mormons who wear what we jokingly refer to as the magic underwear have sworn to obey what they call an oath of consecration, the law of consecration, where they vow to consecrate all of their time, talents, and everything they have, ever will have, to the building up of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Well, that's my point. Is it building up the church, or you're trying to build up this country to take over? That's what I got from reading what I read on the internet. And I may be wrong, but I know you said something a little while ago. Maybe I misunderstood, but you did kind of agree with me.
Who agreed with you?
You. She's saying that you did, Daniel. She's saying that when you explained it all...
Maybe I misunderstood. I'm asking everybody. Did I misunderstand, or did he say that there was kind of an intention?
He used a lot.
Our goal is not to take over anything, least of all this country. Our goal is to be active participant in what's going on in our country, but not to take it over.
Do you think
I think I've said that many times now.
Do you think it'd be best? I'm going to say the same thing I said before, but a different phrase. Do you think it'd be best if more of the government was made up of Mormons?
No, I think it would be best if more of the government was made up of people who were honest and believed in true public service, as opposed to what they do now, which is they're the ones being serviced.
Here's a quote.
You believe that
I'm taking a shot right now after that one. He's so full of shit. I'm taking a shot. Go ahead.
So you believe that Mormons are less I don't know what I'm saying. What do you mean? What are you taking a shot? What did he say?
there's any honest Mormon, and that's the problem with Daniel, is that Mormons have a thing called milk before the meat. The last thing they want to tell you is what they really believe, what they really practice, and what they really aspire to.
But I don't understand why they would do that, because Daniel told us about the underwear. You know, he was kind of open about that. He was kind of open about the temple endowment ceremony by at least acknowledging that it existed. But
you had to pry it out of
He
them. Let me put it
acknowledged
this way.
that quickly, but not the other stuff.
If you have Mormon missionaries show up on your porch, they're going to give you a series of discussions. I believe there's still 6 discussions, and they'll give you a Book of Mormon. They'll tell you about the prophet. But what they won't tell you, even after they baptize you, they won't tell you that in order for you to go to the celestial kingdom, aka heaven, you need to wear special underwear that you can only buy from the Mormon church. They cost about 3 times as much as regular ordinary underwear you'd buy at Walmart. And you must memorize secret handshakes so that when you die and go to heaven, you will be able to get past the angels that guard the gates of heaven. It's just none of that shit is things that come out of Mormon.
Is that in the Bible, John? Have you read any of that?
No, it sounds like a lot of Mormonism is someone's imagination on top of the Christian Bible, you know?
Yeah, and it's all traced back to this guy named Joseph Smith,
Yeah.
who people believe he just made it up.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he claimed that he had magic powers and he could look into Hey, Daniel, Mike was telling me something interesting about, he said that Joseph...
I bet he was.
He was telling me something about Joseph Smith was going door to door, like, conning people out of money when he was younger, you know, like using, like, typical tricks.
He said he could get spirits out of their front yard.
Yeah, no, he knew where money was hidden. There was a treasure buried in their yard, but then they needed to pay more and more money.
What do you think about that, Dan? You hear these things, you hear these allegations. I mean, what does that make you feel like? You hear about him in the young kids, you know, you hear about him in tricking people, you hear about him. I mean, does that bother you? Does that make you say, why am I doing this?
Or do you believe, Daniel, that that Joseph Smith actually did know that there was treasure there? He could see it.
I don't know. I know that he did that kind of stuff when he was younger. I know that people paid him to do that, or they believed that because he had said he had visions or could see things, they tried to get him to get involved in that. I don't know any details. I know he wrote that he used to do that.
Does that bother you?
A little bit, but I mean...
Doesn't
what's
that make
interesting
you
is
want to ask some questions?
Like Joseph Smith, I mean, this guy's a real jerk.
People said that about him at the time, and people say that about him now. And
how do you justify the young women, you know, having multiple wives underage? I mean, that's not a Christian thing to do.
Well, I mean,
Mormons are Christians.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Nicole, that's what I find offensive about it. They say they're of the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints.
Well, what's the handshakes and angels?
Yeah.
I mean, are they fallen angels? I don't know.
Well, yeah.
Wait,
I think it's a demonic deception.
I just
Is there a Masonic connection? I mean, that's the question.
I just heard something.
Is.
I have to make sure that
I'm not afraid to ask. I'm going to ask.
Okay, now what's that, Daniel?
I just heard something. I have to make sure I heard this correctly. You find it offensive that we say that we're Christians? Did I hear that wrong?
100%.
Wow.
Most people do, Daniel.
Now,
Mormonism is a cult. Let's face
what
it.
bothers me about it. It's like, man, wow.
Less than 0.1% of the entire world's population is Mormon. There are more people living in the United States that believe the Apollo manned moon landings were faked than there are Mormons in the entire world. Mormonism is a tiny little piece of fly shit on the windshield of humanity.
Well,
and
Daniel, I mean, I'm not trying to say all that, but what I mean is, like, I'm concerned for you. It's like, wow, from the outside looking in, I can see what has happened, you know, and I wish that you would come out of the delusion, you know, and follow what I believe to be true.
Delusion.
You know? Yeah. I'm speaking from a, you know, used to.
I'm glad that you can see clearly. That's interesting.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to remain, you know,
Well, I mean, I'm Christian.
but-
Can I just go to a Mormon church and just show up like a mass or, a Sunday, or would I be accepted? I mean, do I have to go through anything to actually belong to the church?
Daniel, it's like
I hear lots of questions. I'm happy to answer them.
Go ahead.
You can go to any church and say, "Hey, I've come by to visit. Can I come in?" They say, "Sure." That's the whole point. We're trying to reach out to more people. We'd love to get people to come in and people to find out about us and ask these questions. Now you're going to get different points of view. I mean, you got my point of view and you got Mike's point of view. Which one are you going to believe?
Both.
So
Yeah, I mean,
mine is based on facts and verifiable evidence. Daniel's is based on prayers and good feelings. And Nicole, the answer to your question is not entirely yes. You could not go to a Mormon temple and participate in their rituals there. That you have to.
I don't think that was her question.
No, but
that was kind of my question, because I know you do perform stuff that looks like, even with children, I saw that there was something with spirits or something. You put them in the water.
Baptisms for the dead. Yeah, most baptisms for the dead are.
Yeah, it's the reason I find it offensive, Daniel. It's just because it's completely against everything else that we believe. It's like you guys tacked on all this stuff that's 100% against, the faith of Christianity and Jesus' teachings. It's like
that's like a Masonic.
Everything that you guys do that's different than what the Bible says to do. I find it's deception, and it's wrong if you're trying to be a Christian. That's how I feel about it. I love you, Daniel. I wish
so you think that the belief, the Christianity, you think that the idea, what is it called? What is Christianity called? The idea of Christianity?
I'm following Jesus Christ.
So you believe that
Bible stuff.
You believe that Daniel and other Mormons are not following in the.
I believe they're deceived. Yeah. Deceived by apparently this guy Joseph Smith, And it's not your fault or anything. I can see being raised in that or whatever, but that is how I see it, and it's biased in a Christian point of view. But what do you think about that, Daniel? I mean,
do I think I'm deceived?
What do you think of me thinking?
Do you think that you're deceiving Christians?
What's that?
No. What'd you say, John?
What do you think of me thinking that? Am I deceived, or what does that make you think? Why do I think that Christianity is right? But, you guys are way out there. What do they tell you about us,
We don't really talk about you, if you will. I'm not going to try and second guess what you believe.
Whoa, never lie. I'm taking a shot. He's full of shit.
What?
Sorry.
Is that true?
The Mormon church talks shit about every church on earth. They say that there's only 2 churches in the world. This is canonized scripture, Mormon scripture. It's in the Book of Mormon.
Okay.
There's only 2 churches in the entire world. There is the Church of the Lamb of God, which is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And then there is the great and abominable whore of the earth, the Church of the Devil. So
they call it the Church of the Devil?
The Church of the Devil and the great and abominable whore of the earth. So, Nicole, no matter what church you go to, that's part of the great and abominable whore of the earth. According to Mormon scripture, they believe they are the only true church of God on earth. So every single person in the entire world is wrong, and unless they accept...
Well, I think most Christians believe that,
Right, right, exactly.
Well, I'm open. Muslims believe, I think they believe Jesus was a prophet, and I'm very open to different things. But the Mormon church, we have a Bible. If I go in and I ask a priest or a pastor a question about the Bible, they're going to be able to answer 100%. But it seems like when we ask questions, he's not really giving us, when it comes to beliefs, a stern answer. So that causes me a little.
Listen, I'm happy to answer. The problem is I've got 3-4 people talking.
Well, take your time.
So
Jump.
Please, if I'm not making myself clear, I apologize about that. But please, someone ask me a question.
I will. Daniel, how do you feel?
Anyone, and then give me a chance to try and deal with that question.
When you stop talking, we believe that you assume that you've dealt with it, and then something else happens, and somebody moves on to something else. I think that's how the conversation's been working. But I want to know how you feel. Was Mike spot on with what he just said?
About what? About the 2 churches?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that is in the Book of Mormon.
But you don't believe
and
it.
I think
Yeah, but is that
I
what you
think
Well,
believe?
hold on.
I believe it. I think there's probably a better way to say it or a better way to interpret it. But the truth is that that's kind of our primary belief, and it started with Joseph Smith, is that all other beliefs, all other churches were wrong, that they did not have the full truth.
Of the devil.
What's that?
Of the devil?
And that there were many parts of them that were like that were of the devil, or where people were deceived. I mean,
So
we can believe that other people
do you believe that
are
we're
deceived in their practices.
Do you
the way
believe
you believe that we're deceived?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
What was
you do you believe that John or I, or even Jake, definitely Nicole, are deceived?
Do I believe you're deceived?
Yes, and of the devil.
I wouldn't say you're of the devil. I think most people are deceived.
Do you
I mean,
think
there could be some things that I'm deceived about. But whether you're deceived or not, that's not really the issue.
For instance, I said I believe that you are under like a demonic deception. That's the function of how I believe.
Do you
But
believe we
what's
are
the
under-
reason? Like, what's the deal? Like, we just.
I believe
who
that
knows?
you are deceived in thinking that.
By who?
So there you go.
Who? By who?
so? You don't think that that's true?
That I'm under demonic
That we
possession?
are.
What was that?
What?
That we are.
That you're under demonic possession?
Yeah. No, influence. What's the
No.
reason? Like, there's scriptures
Well,
that
don't we
tell.
have one
There's
atheist
scriptures
on the
that say
phone?
the reason. You know what I mean? That
I think John is. I think John's definitely possessed by the devil.
and I hope not. But I shouldn't be.
Hey guys, let me ask Daniel a question. Daniel, I understand that you are somewhat of an amateur. I don't know if I want to use the word archaeologist, but you certainly come across as an amateur Mormon apologist, one who
He writes books on the historical
So
historical places.
I'm curious as to why, Daniel, you believe that the events that are described in the Book of Mormon take place down in Central or South America, when Joseph Smith and countless church leaders over the last 170 years have made it crystal clear that the very last giant Nephite battle, which took place about 420 AD,
Are
took
those the
place.
giants?
No. It's just a giant battle, though. It was a big battle that took place in New York, the state of New York, at the Hill Cumorah, and also the Jaredites. The Jaredites also had their last massive battle at and around the Hill Cumorah, New York.
I don't know what any of this means.
So I guess Daniel claims that, see, the reason that there's no archaeological evidence for the Book of Mormon is because it's all buried under the jungles of South America. And people like Daniel like to convince themselves and other Mormons and potential Mormons that we just haven't found evidence to support the Book of Mormon yet because it's buried in the jungles. But in reality, Joseph Smith and countless other early church leaders basically said a lot of these events took place in the eastern United States, specifically in upstate New York. So why do they have the Hill Cumorah pageant in New York if all these events took place down in South America, Daniel? Are you familiar with the fact that of all the quotes,
Well,
I'll tell you.
let him answer that first question.
Go ahead. Daniel, go ahead, please.
So this is what's kind of difficult. I mean, I get a ton of questions thrown at me, and people are willing to just keep kind of talking and talking. The Hill Cumorah pageant is in New York.
Daniel, just try
What?
Try your best. Like if you need to write something down or just try your best. You're doing fine.
Okay, thanks. The Hill Cumorah pageant is in New York because that's the hill where Joseph said that he got the plates. And so we're kind of fond of calling that hill Cumorah. I don't know anything that Joseph Smith ever called that hill Cumorah. And I do know that he made various statements about Book of Mormon events. And I know that near the end of his life, when he was introduced to some interesting books called Incidents of Travel in Yucatan, he made some very specific statements about the Book of Mormon being in events being in Central America and relating them to the ruins that had just been newly discovered there. So there might be an evolution of his belief on where these events took place, but I have read a good bit by scholars who are a lot smarter than I am that have gone over his statements and the things that were published in 1843 in the church magazines and publications, relating that to definitely to Central American locations. After that, I know that a lot of church leaders made comments about it, but I'm not sure that there was any much thought about it. I've also heard church leaders say that there really isn't that, as far as from a revelation point of view, they don't make any specific statements on exactly where Book of Mormon events took place.
Daniel, hold on. I gotta say one thing. Daniel, are you aware that probably the majority of the world can kind of see, obviously, or in their personal belief is that Joseph Smith is completely full of shit con artist?
I can see why they would come to that conclusion.
All right. Now, what were you going to say, Mike?
Let me just say this. Daniel, clearly, the truth is a lot easier to see when you stop assuming you already have it. Clearly, you have not done your homework on what the church teaches regarding the location of the hill Cumorah mentioned in the Book of Mormon, the same place that the Jaredites referred to as Ramah. So I just sent out a tweet a few minutes ago that says, at Chris Brake Show, why is Daniel Johnson looking for Lamanite ruins in Mesoamerica? And I give a link to an old website of mine. On that website, there are 15 quotes from church leaders 16 quotes from church leaders going from, let's see, the first one is in 1872. The last one is in 1990. We got a letter here from the office of the first presidency in 1990 that says the church has long maintained, as attested to by references in the writings of general authorities, that the hill Cumorah in western New York State is the same as referenced in the Book of Mormon. I don't know how you could be more confused on this issue. You've got Zelph, the great white Lamanite warrior that was found in Joseph Smith's travels in North America. I believe that's in Illinois. You've got the hill Cumorah in New York State, where Moroni supposedly buried the gold plates, where the last Nephites, 230,000 Nephites, supposedly died at the hill Cumorah in upstate New York. And for you to not know that as a amateur archaeologist, anthropologist, whatever the hell you want to call yourself, blows my freaking mind.
Daniel, did you know that? Or do you have to say that you don't know about that? I mean, that's like...
well, I don't have to say anything. I know of some of those quotes. For me, I just think that I've been involved with this discussion in recent years. I know there is a movement within the church to place all these events in North America that are in the Book of Mormon. These people referred to as the Heartlanders, and I just think that the archaeology really supports the idea of a limited model, a limited area, and a Central American location much better. And again, I know quotes from Joseph Smith that place it in that area as well.
What archaeology? Are there any non-Mormon archaeologists in the entire world that support the belief, as the Book of Mormon claims, that 2,000 years ago, Native Americans were riding around the plains in horse-drawn chariots? Because that's what the Mormon says, and it is laughable to every freaking archaeologist, anthropologist on Earth. Nobody who is a serious student of Mesoamerica would even for 1 second say that, yeah, it's possible that 2,000 years ago they had horse-drawn chariots. Nobody.
Daniel, what do you guys still believe that?
Is there a question there?
Daniel, do you guys still believe that?
The question is, how in the God's green earth can you believe that shit, Daniel? There's not a single archaeologist on the face of the planet that's not a Mormon that would say, and I'm sorry, I don't even know if there are any Mormon archaeologists or anthropologists, because if there were, they'd be laughed out of the profession as soon as they said that they believed that Native Americans, who were Jewish immigrants, by the way, or at least descendants of Jewish immigrants, rode around in horse-drawn chariots 2,000 years ago. They didn't have horses. They didn't have chariots, Daniel. Why would you believe something so ridiculous? There's my question.
Well, I don't really think that's a real question. I think it's more of an accusation.
No, it was a question. Why would you believe that?
Do you believe that?
Do I? Well, the chariots are mentioned only a couple of times in the Book of Mormon.
Do you believe
horses
that?
Horses are mentioned in the Book of Mormon. That's true that you're not going to find support from non-Mormon archaeologists. However, if we take one issue, horses, that's been controversial in the Book of Mormon since the day it came out. And that's been an easy target. So the question is, when did horses get here?
After that, not 2,000 years ago.
Why would the Book of Mormon suggest that there are horses when everyone knows there weren't?
Because it was written, in the late 1900s.
And Joseph Smith was clueless.
And he made it all up.
Actually, the 1800s, and no one believed there were horses here before that time. The truth is that...
And do they still not?
What's that?
Do they still not, or do they believe now?
The idea of when horses got to the Americas has been a constantly changing issue. So
only in your mind, Daniel. Only in your mind. Not with any professional zoologist, anthropologist, or archaeologist. No serious student of science believes that Native Americans were riding around on horse-drawn chariots 2,000 years ago.
That's not what I said. What I said is the issue of when horses got here or how long they've been here is actually something that's changed quite a bit since Joseph Smith's time.
The standard view now is 1519. I just looked it up. They say the horses came here 1519 to America.
1519?
Yeah, so there's a 1,500-year difference there, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But the whole thing is that
that's a big difference.
I've actually found lots of information, all from non-LDS sources, that show horse remains were here a lot longer before then. We now know that horses and large animals. Yeah. We know that horses. I'm sorry. Am I hearing?
Did you say dinosaur?
Prehistoric. Horses were on the American continent, but the last traces of them died out 10, 15,000 years ago, something like that. It was way, way, way before 2,000 years ago.
Yes, exactly. So at the time of Joseph Smith, no one even thought horses were here before the Spanish arrived. Now we're finding that they were here, and I've actually seen competent scientists who are finding evidence that they survived much longer than that. I've got reports of people who found horse remains in the Yucatan Peninsula and in North America that are much
have they ever found
younger than that.
Have they ever found any fossils or anything that supports that they were actually, all three of them together, the Native Americans, the chariots, and the horses?
Well, I'm trying to talk about one issue at a time.
I'm trying to put all three of these together.
Yes. And so chariots, no, but there were wheeled things. I've even seen from Mexico wheeled vehicles, like a wheeled platform, and these small items that have been found in archaeological sites. So were there, chariots around everywhere? Not support for that. I understand that. But the whole point I'm trying to say is that there's more support than someone like your guest here might think or might try and tell you. So when horses became extinct in the Americas is kind of a moving question. It keeps coming closer and closer. And one more thing, there is a type of horse called the Bashkir Curly that there are horse experts and people deal with horse bloodlines, non-LDS. Some think that maybe that horse has been in Americas all along because they can't find any other place that it got here. Hey. And so we don't have the full answer to this.
Just to remind me, what year was it created, Latter-day Saints?
1830.
1830. Okay.
Okay. So what I'm saying is the horse issue is an easy one to attack but there's a lot of new information coming out there.
And you
there's
believe,
nothing that,
and the book was written by a guy who had was it a hat or a bag that he looked into, and had and was able to see these magical. He had these magical glasses he would put on, I believe, right?
it depends on which account you listen to. Joseph Smith never described exactly how he did it.
Hey, I've got some descriptions here, actually. I've got, sitting right in front of me, some descriptions by, let's see, Joseph Smith's wife and a couple of witnesses about how he translated the gold plates.
Yeah,
you guys,
well, I can
hear
give
that?
them to you. I can give them to you as well, but since you want to, go ahead and butt in, please do.
Well, you said, you said it
are
was
you going to give the
unknown.
rock in the hat version, Daniel, or are you going to give the
exactly,
Usman thumb version?
That's exactly the one that I was going to say.
But you said,
Well,
it's not really known, and da-da-da.
On episode 107, Daniel, you didn't talk about the rock in the hat. You talked about the Urim and Thummim. And in fact, you said that Joseph Smith never explained how he translated the Book of Mormon. And then he said the witnesses saw or heard him talk about the seer stones. Stones, plural. And in fact, there was just one rock. There was a rock, the same rock Smith would use to rip off his neighbors and claim that he could find buried treasure on their property. He used that rock in a hat to translate gold plates that were nowhere in the room, and just magically, they just came out of his head.
Now, Mike, do you think, what's the problem here? Do you think that Daniel's intentionally trying to deceive us?
Absolutely. Daniel is deceiving you because he wants the church to be true more than he wants the truth. Daniel, it's funny, when you asked him the first time if he was born and raised in the church, he said, no. But then we find out that, actually, at the age of 3, his mother joined the church. So yes, Daniel was born and raised in the Mormon church. Maybe he wasn't born into it, but when you're 3 years old and your parents or your mother converts to Mormonism, you are, for all intents and purposes, raised in the church.
What did he tell us? He just didn't answer. He just said no.
He said that he joined at the age of 3, or that his family joined when he was 3 years old. Daniel has essentially been born and raised in the church. He's never known any different. In Daniel's
Hello?
He was 4 years old. He's probably gotten up and borne his testimony in church as his mother was whispering in his ear, repeating words like, I know Joseph Smith was a prophet of God. I know this church is true. I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Well, I'll tell you what, Daniel, if the Mormon church is true, why is there zero power of discernment to keep me out of their temples? Why am I allowed to go into the house of God and videotape these asinine ceremonies and post them online? And by the way, before you answer that, on the 4th of July, I'm releasing a new video that you might be interested in, Daniel. 4th of July of this year. Watch it.
All right, we'll keep our eye out for that, and we'll let you know when it comes out. Hey,
Daniel, what is it?
Where's the power of discernment, Daniel? Why doesn't God,
that's
Elohim,
a thing, right? That's a thing. It's like the power of discernment will keep people out of here, and he's saying, "Oh, I can just go in there."
Because he's still, a good guy.
Daniel, how's he able to do that?
Because he lies to his bishop. I don't know how he's able to do it.
Well, where's that power of discernment? The bishop notice? That's his question.
Where's the power of discernment? Why wouldn't the bishop know that I was lying to him? And the stake president?
I guess because they aren't really that in tune, and they're just mortal men, and they're making a mistake.
I got a theory. I think they all masturbate. So they lack the spirit. And when they lack the spirit,
is that a thing?
Not gonna...
Is that a thing? Masturbation makes you lose the spirit?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Wow.
So Mike, that's probably why you're so spiritless right now.
I'm masturbating as we speak.
What did you go to, Mike? Like after you left the church, now what do you do? Because someone online was saying, oh, he's a Unitarian now or something.
When I first left Mormonism, as is very common amongst other ex-Mormons, I kind of took a little detour through mainstream Christianity. I I attended the Presbyterian church for a little while, liked it. I attended a non-denominational Christian faith for a while. I liked it. But eventually I kind of came to the conclusion that the whole Jesus story, probably isn't true. I mean, the fact is, now, currently, I do not believe that I believe that we could live for 100,000 years and we will never see a man fly out of the sky in a chariot pulled by flying horses and raising millions of people from the dead. That's called a zombie apocalypse. And if it happens, you're going to have a lot of rednecks shooting for the head. I just can't buy it. I think that Jesus was a wise, loving guy, but I think so was John Lennon.
Right, you think he was not the Son of God. You reject him.
I don't think Jesus Christ was the Son of God.
Accused of rape.
Yeah, I don't think Jesus was the Son of God any more than I think I was the Son of God.
Daniel, what do you think of? He brought up Revelation, end times, and stuff, and I wanted to bring it up. So,
Revelation, end times.
Yeah, what do you think about now, Daniel? Or with the in Revelation, there's lots of prophecies about the end times, and people talk about that in Christianity. Daniel, what do you think? Do you think we're in the end times? Have the seals started to open in Revelation?
What the fuck?
Daniel knows what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, right, Daniel?
I do know what you're talking about. I think a lot of that stuff in there is symbolic of things.
Oh, you don't believe that?
No, I'm just saying it's obviously symbolic.
I don't know what you're saying. Wait.
If you talk about the things in Revelation, I believe we're in the end times. I believe.
So that's a yes.
It is a yes.
That's a yes.
I got to ask him, Daniel, do you believe that Adam and Eve lived approximately 6,000 to 7,000 years ago?
I don't have a definite opinion on that. I think they probably lived longer ago than that.
Okay, you might want to investigate what your church teaches about that.
Yes, I'm quite aware. Thank you.
So you are aware of the fact that the Mormon Church teaches that the human race began essentially about 7,000 years ago. You know that, right?
Sure, yeah.
I remember personally asking you that. It was like, what do you guys? What about how old the Earth is? What do you guys think? And you're like, I don't know.
How old the Earth is?
He said. Daniel said it's as old as whatever the scientists say it is.
Yeah, like you've shrouded the fact that you had a distinct belief that it was X amount of years, and you knew that it was different than the mainstream.
Issue. How old?
You knew that's what I was getting at. How old's the Earth? What do you think?
How old the Earth is how old the Earth is a very different question from how long ago Adam and Eve lived. How old the Earth is? I mean, did the Earth take millions of years, billions of years to be created? That's a question for the scientists. A lot of things that are in the Old Testament are kind of tough to figure out. I don't know how long ago Adam and Eve lived. I know what some of the more, dogmatic leaders of our church have said in, decades past.
You mean the prophets? The prophets, the Mormon prophets.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway,
aren't you borderline apostasy?
Daniel knows and understands what the Mormon prophets have said. He just doesn't personally agree with them.
Aren't you speaking blasphemies against the Mormon faith when you say things like that? Yes or no?
No, but we don't really believe in blasphemy. I guess what I'd like to say.
I mean, you don't believe it, but everyone else in the group does. That's kind of what it sounds like you're saying.
No, I'm just saying there's a difference between official accepted church doctrine and scriptures and then what prophets have taught. There actually is a difference, and sometimes it's tough to figure out. But for me, I guess to kind of contrast views here, I just like to say that I actually do believe in Jesus Christ. I actually do believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and the Savior of the entire world, and that only through him can we be saved. I have no doubt myself of the divinity of Jesus Christ, and my whole point of my life is to try and live in accordance with his teachings. So Daniel, I have not lost my faith in
Daniel,
Jesus
if you don't
Christ.
wear your magic underwear, if you don't wear your temple garments day and night, do you believe that you can go to the celestial kingdom if you don't pay tithing and wear your special underwear that you got in the temple?
I believe that for exaltation, the highest level of the celestial kingdom, that I need to do all those things.
which is the Mormon term for heaven. The highest level of the celestial kingdom is essentially heaven.
I'm glad you're here to
below
explain this to me.
Anything below the highest level in the celestial kingdom is, for all intents and purposes, the Mormon definition of hell. If you go to the...
I disagree with that.
There is no...
I disagree with
then Dan, you don't know your doctrines very well, because the celestial kingdom is heaven, telestial and terrestrial. Anything short of the celestial kingdom in the presence of God is essentially the Mormon definition of hell.
Yeah, but what is it? Does it describe hell as being anything bad?
Right there.
Well, yeah. I mean, Mormons believe that if you're not living for eternity, worshiping Elohim, the exalted polygamist man who lives on the star closest to Kolob, that you are essentially in hell. That
you don't just die?
Hell, no. Oh, you're
Daniel.
you keep...
What happens, Daniel?
I think what your guest here is doing is just not explaining well our beliefs and really twisting them to something that they're not.
Really, by all means, straighten me out here, Daniel. Are you telling me that
I really don't have a lot more to say to you because you're not going to believe anything I say. So I don't need to straighten you out. I'm not going to straighten you out. But my whole point was when you talked about sort of your loss of faith and you talked about your thoughts on Jesus Christ, I think it's just necessary for me to affirm my thoughts about Jesus Christ and what I still believe about Christ. And that's because of the teachings of my church. And that's really what we try and focus on.
You know, Daniel, I was in the temple yesterday. I put your name on the prayer roll in the hopes that you might not make a fool of yourself in this podcast today.
I guess that prayer didn't happen, did it?
No, you're doing good,
no,
Daniel.
the prayer happened, but it didn't work because
yeah, that's what I meant. Your prayer didn't work.
That's subjective. I mean, objective. But Daniel, I don't know. I mean, it's just, and that's where everything that you said about Jesus, I believe the same thing, and that's where it seems like we end. Like you have a whole book of stuff that's tacked onto that basically contradicts the teachings of Christ and the book, the original Bible. That's how I see it. I don't see how you could not see it that way.
Well, I understand your different viewpoint. I respect that. I think that if you were to actually take a look at what the Book of Mormon really teaches, you would see that it does teach about Christ, and it would give you a greater understanding of his teachings as well. I think what's happening here today with this discussion isn't always an accurate representation of what's really going on.
Yeah, I mean, you're here to explain. That's why you're here, so there can be, two-sided conversation.
Is Mike saying anything that's a lie? Is he blatantly outright lying? Because that's what he originally accused you of. He said that you blatantly were outright lying about 25 things that we haven't even gotten through all of them. I know. I mean, yeah, are you,
from my point of view,
is he doing the same thing? Is he just making this stuff up about all these things that contradicts with my view of Christianity and all these things that are kolob and this and that? I mean, the idea of, you becoming a god and ruling a planet, like that's...
What the fuck is that kolob?
Like, those things like that, that's enough to differ you from the original belief of, traditional Christianity,
Well, again, I never claimed that we were traditional Christians. I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot in traditional Christianity that has gone completely completely off of what Jesus Christ originally taught.
And I don't even like to use Christianity, but just what Jesus taught or whatever. I mean, just basically putting it down to that. I mean,
I believe everything Jesus taught. I think there's a lot more truth out there than what Jesus taught.
Yeah,
because we only have 4 little books that are of his actual teachings. There's a lot more out there. I think there's a lot within.
You believe that Jesus really approved of, underage marriage and multiple wives and,
What's that?
You believe that Jesus approves of underage marriage, 14-year-old girls, multiple wives. He's okay with that. that's in line with Jesus.
I don't know that what Joseph Smith did in every case was correct. I'm sure he made mistakes.
How could you not just say no?
Yeah,
like, no.
Yeah. Fucking a 14-year-old, that's a pretty big mistake, I'd say.
How can't you just say no?
A lot of men in that same time, in that same culture, made that same mistake.
You don't hear about Paul doing that.
Time out. Daniel, you saying that it was common practice in the 1830s and 40s for men in their 30s who are already married to marry 14-year-old girls. So you're saying polygamy was a common thing, or was it just
polygamy was not a common thing, but
you said it wasn't uncommon.
Girls getting married at that age was much more common than it is now.
You're full of shit, Daniel.
But to an
you're
older
full of
man
shit.
with
Wrong.
I don't think so.
It was never common for 14-year-old girls to be marrying other men.
Even if it was, it's against
perhaps at 14, 15, 16 years old, they might have gotten married, but marrying men who were already married was virtually unheard of, and that's one of the reasons why law killed Joseph Smith, because the man is a pedophile piece of shit.
So how can you continue to follow him, Daniel, I guess? How can you reconcile all these things that you hear that seem to be true?
Because he believes that the book is the word of God, even if the man who, translated it, transcribed it. Like, see, we're looking at it as Joseph Smith created it for a reason, to control people. And to get away with having sex with young girls.
Right.
But he looks at it as this man, he did some bad things, but he also happened to transcribe this great, book. Joseph Smith didn't create the religion, according to him.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Joseph Smith didn't create it.
No, he was just a messenger.
That would be our belief, yes.
I never caught that one.
That he didn't.
I saw he wrote it down, and he was the guy.
But
he says that he was just a messenger. That Jesus Christ Himself restored His church on earth.
Would that be like a Catholic saying they don't believe in the Pope, or something like that? I mean, he's your guy. This Joseph Smith.
We respect him as a prophet. The whole point is we believe that the teachings are from God, not from Joseph Smith.
But they're weird, and don't you think they're just like completely the opposite of anything else that's in the the quote Christian Bible or whatever, the Old Testament, the New Testament? Don't you think that they're just completely different, or no? Do you find them to be right in the same?
I don't find them to be completely different.
Do you find them to be weird
in relation to the rest of the Bible? Do you find that part of it to be quite weird?
A lot of people find the Bible to be weird.
But accepting the Bible in all its weirdness,
to be overly violent and can't accept the idea of God based on the Old Testament God.
Okay.
So I mean, I understand how these things.
That stuff is one thing, but then you guys are on a whole nother level of just weirdness that contradicts even the Bible, and people say the Bible contradicts itself.
I do think it's kind of strange, the community, and now it's all in Utah, and like that's, to me, I don't know, that seems strange.
Didn't I explain? Didn't we talk about why that is?
Probably, but it's probably weird.
Why is that? And
is it weird?
The question is why Mormons are in Utah?
Yeah.
It's because after Joseph Smith was murdered, the people who wanted to remain members of this church, their lives were in danger. They actually left the United States because they couldn't find any safe haven. And the government.
That's what happens when you're fucking little girls, for God's sakes. Yeah, you're screwing other little girls and you're marrying other men's wives, and eventually they're going to run you out of town. In this case, they ran you out of the country. I mean, come on. There's no apologies for this. Mormons were fucking little girls. And just like Warren Jeffs, you know what? What's the difference between Warren Jeffs, the leader of the FLDS church, and Joseph Smith? It's about 170 years. That's it. That's the difference. Joseph Smith was fucking little girls. Brigham Young was too. Early Mormon prophets and apostles were fucking little girls. And when you start fucking little girls, that's when people start tarring, feathering you, and hanging you from a tree. Joseph Smith got what he had coming to him, and good fucking riddance to get him out of the United States and send him off to the desert and let him live out there. The only reason they came back into the United States and were welcome in the United States is because they lied and claimed that they stopped practicing polygamy in 1890. when in reality they were still doing it for another 14 years. Isn't that true, Daniel?
Daniel, is that true?
I think there's some truth to that, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a
All this
problem
makes sense.
on a mountain of problems. You know what I mean? Like,
You got, dude, Daniel, I love you, man, and here's what I want to tell you. You were born into some fucked up shit. Your mom got deceived, and you were taught some fucked up shit, man. So, I wish you the
Yes,
best.
I gotta tell you, if Daniel only listens to one thing I say, it is this. Daniel, for the love of all that is holy, go to CESletter.com. CES, as in Church Education System. CESletter.com. You need to read Jeremy Reynolds' letter and wake up, man. Wake up. Snap out of it. You're in a cult, dude. You were born and raised into a cult. And the truth is a lot easier to see if you stop assuming you already have it.
Now, is it okay to be in a cult? Is this cult doing anything bad?
Oh, they do tons bad. Are you kidding me? Since last, what was it, November, when the Mormon Church had a new policy they announced, I think it was last November, where they said, if you have a parent who is gay and in a same-sex relationship, you cannot join our church until you are, A, no longer living under their house, B, disavow their same-sex marriage, and C, or at least 18 years old. So far that we know of, there's been at least 40 LGBT Mormons, mostly kids, who have killed themselves because of this new policy that excludes children of gay people.
That's a pretty bad policy. Daniel, why was that specifically written down? Why would that policy be in place?
I think that's because of the way things have been going and the way attitudes have been changing. To me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to, and I've dealt with, children who are in the church and their parents who aren't. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have a child be baptized or be a member of the church if their parents aren't supporting it, aren't bringing them there, aren't living in accordance with its standards.
Why
we
not?
don't need more. We don't
maybe
need more
because they
people.
can't be brainwashed as easy.
Daniel,
We don't need more people on our records that aren't coming to church. We don't want to add to those numbers.
But what's wrong
There's
if why can't
there's already 10 million of them. They don't need more.
No, hey,
don't think
but
he
Daniel,
does.
just
I don't
because
think he
they're
does.
just because the parent is gay, why
do you have a scripture
why
for
would
that?
Why would they not come into? What if they wanted to come into church?
With all of Christianity, you can quote a scripture. I'm not the best at it, but you could do that. It's all based on scripture.
Why does it matter? Why does it matter if they're gay? Why can't they be Mormon and gay?
Is there part of the Book of Mormon? There's a scripture in there that says that. Do you know? Like, it's got to be based on something.
John, stop talking. Daniel,
This is a policy, and it's a policy that is controversial. Policies kind of come and go sometimes, and so if you really want to hear the reasoning and the explanation behind the policy, I can send you the official explanation of it. But I think we're in a difficult situation now because we don't support gay marriage. We don't support.
It's the law. They don't support the law. Is that what you're saying, Daniel? Gay marriage is the
exactly
law
what
of the
he's
land. It's
Yes,
legal.
I know.
It's legal in every state in the country. So you're saying that even though it's the law, Mormons do not support it.
Actually, no. Let me change that statement, if I might, if that's okay with you.
Please.
All right. We support the law. I recognize it. I recognize that it's the law, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean that we have to accept it in our practices. It can be the law of the land, and we support the law of the land, but we don't have to make that part of our belief.
that makes you anti-American.
No, I mean
It makes you un-American. That makes you fucking American, man.
There are.
Well, I
plenty-
did hear they hold a grudge against America after what's his name?
Yeah,
died.
you guys blame America for Joseph Smith's assassination.
Yeah, that's like that. When I was talking about control, actually, that's what I read. That people that come into the Mormon church actually have to swear that they're going to teach their kids and the kids' children that basically you hold a grudge against America.
So what it all comes down to. So what it all comes down to, Daniel, is that you're in an anti-American cult.
Yes. That's what
I think that's just the opposite. We actually love America. We think that this land came about for a divine purpose. But
For years.
there are many people who are Christians who don't necessarily believe in gay marriage. If it's the law of the land, that's fine.
You guys
We
have a
accept
history
that.
of being anti-American.
I guess I wouldn't say that that's the case.
Joseph Smith, he was
Oh, yeah,
I read a
anti-American.
lot of
No,
that.
totally.
It's a very anti-American.
Nicole, I got a quote here for you. Actually, the oath of
Yeah, please,
vengeance.
because I have a bad memory.
The oath of vengeance against the United States was part of the Mormon Temple endowment
That's it.
ceremony, I believe up until about 1929. And they said, "Do you and each of you covenant and promise that you will pray and never cease to pray to Almighty God to avenge the blood of the prophets," meaning Joseph Smith and his brother, "upon this nation, and that you will teach the same to your children and to your children's children,
Yes,
and to the third and
that's what I
fourth
read.
generation."
Yeah.
The Mormon Church blamed the United States government for what happened to their beloved pedophile prophet Joseph Smith and his brother, and they vowed to get even and to seek vengeance upon this nation. And it was part of the Mormon Temple ceremony until the 1920s to pray to God to avenge the blood of Joseph Smith and his beloved brother Hiram, who was also considered to be a prophet, seer, and revelator.
Daniel, I mean, is that true? It is,
That's
right?
what I
mean,
read.
is that a thing?
It was.
The oath of vengeance.
That's not a thing. That's what it is.
It was.
It was. You guys don't do it anymore.
That's true. And the truth is, I mean,
I'm just saying that it has a history. You have a history of anti-Americanism.
I wouldn't put it that way. I think that America failed us. I mean, this is a land.
So they failed you. So why would you want to be pro them?
Especially
that's I mean,
pray against
that's-
its destruction. That's a bit extreme.
So what's the vengeance? That's the question.
Then it's the vengeance of Joseph Smith being killed.
And Mitt Romney ran for president.
yeah. Well, there you go.
So
I'll
didn't
tell
it,
you guys, that's why I made
Is that what
Behind the
they're
Veil.
doing?
In
That's the
2012, when I heard that Mitt Romney was going to be the Republican nominee for president, I was like, oh, hell no. So I made Behind the Veil. You can find at tinyurl.com/Mormon Secrets. Or you can just go to my YouTube channel, NewNameNoah. It's on there, but I'm telling you, I should dedicate.
you have a video of Mitt Romney
Oh yes, I've got a video of Mitt Romney in the temple, swearing an oath to consecrate all that he has or ever will have to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You know, I've never actually released that video for a variety of reasons. The biggest one being my lawyer said Mitt Romney will sue you into the Stone Age, but that's a whole nother podcast.
So we're never going to be able to see that.
You got to go over to his house.
Never. You know what? Never say never. Never say never.
Yeah. I bet if we came over to your house, you'd let us see it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
As long as nobody touches it.
Bring a camera with you.
Yeah. Was there?
Well, no, hey guys, let me summarize Mormonism like this.
I think I did perfectly. I said it's an anti-American cult.
It is.
Let's get back to that.
To believe that Native Americans were descendants of Jewish immigrants who rode around the plains in horse-drawn chariots 2,000 years ago is like saying that Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of America, drove a Chevy Corvette. Except Thomas Jefferson driving a Corvette would only be about 180 years out of place. When you've got Native Americans, Jewish ones at that, who are riding around horse-drawn chariots, that's about 1,500 years out of place. The Book of Mormon has Native Americans about 4,600 years ago with domesticated elephants. That is a serious problem. There are so many anachronisms in the Book of Mormon, it is absolutely laughable. There's a reason why less than 1/10 of 1% of the world believes in this shit.
Yeah, I understand. Is this your closing argument?
Absolutely.
All right.
You know what? Hey, Daniel, I'd like to bear my testimony to you.
Okay.
My testimony to you is that the church is not true. I don't just know it. I would and have bet the souls of my children on it. And I am absolutely 100% positive that Joseph Smith was a fraud and that there is no power of discernment in Mormon temples. And on the 4th of July of this year, which will actually be the 40th anniversary of my baptism, I was baptized on the 4th of July, 1976. So this year marks the 40th anniversary of my baptism. I'm going to release some more videos, and it's just going to reaffirm the fact that nobody in your church has the power of discernment. You are not the only true church of God on earth. You're in a sham. Your apostles and prophets are living high on the hog. They're living in multi-million-dollar homes. Most of them have more than one home, and they are laughing all the way to the bank as you pay your hard-earned 10% on every dime that you make. The truth is a lot easier to see when you stop assuming you already have it. You got to go to cesletter.com and read. And don't pray, for the love of God. Just think this time. Think. I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
All right. Daniel.
Yeah.
Do you have any last things to say?
Well, no, not really. I can't say this has been the most fun experience of my life, but I can say that I don't harbor any ill will towards anyone.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be sarcastic or insulting.
Nor us to you.
And I know you guys aren't. That's fine. And so I'm just doing my best to kind of make my way through life and answer these questions. If I haven't done a very good job of answering them this time, that's on me. I don't think this was really a great forum for it, and I just I've done what I could.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no ill will at all. It's just lots of questions.
I think there was a debate though, and I think you lost, Daniel.
Well, I've never been very good at debating.
Yeah,
so
us either. So
yeah.
I mean,
I think Mike was doing the proper debating technique. You have to be loud, and you have to say a lot when you can, and you got to jump in. And you were kind of slow. We'd have to stop and wait.
That's not me. That's not really me. I'm not one of those.
well, Daniel, well, you got the floor here. I know you did. You probably didn't get as much talking time as you wanted. What would you say to a bunch of knuckleheads like us that don't believe in, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
It doesn't really matter if you don't believe or not. I don't think this was a really good forum for trying to get to the end of that. So I'm not sure that I
it doesn't
have
matter.
really.
I have no idea what end we were trying to get to.
Yeah, exactly. But I appreciate your guys having me on. I'm not sure if I've helped out any. I do need to actually go. I've got to go do something with my son.
Do you have a website you want people to go to or anything?
I'm not really trying to push anything, but
Secret. No.
I do have a blog that talks about the stuff that I'm doing and the stuff that I've written about, and it might be easier to get some info by reading about it than in this forum here, but people can always find out more about me at ldsguide.blogspot.com.
ldsguide.blogspot.com. All right, thanks. Have a good night, Daniel.
You too.
Tweety Bird wants to know about the racist people.
Did we ask? Oh, why didn't you?
I just now saw the tweet.
Oh, who's Tweety Bird?
Somebody on Twitter.
You still have Daniel on?
Well, I'm still here.
Oh.
Can you talk about the racist people? That's what the Twitter wants to know.
Racist people?
Yeah.
What kind of racist people?
Is there racism in the Church of Mormon?
I hope there's not anymore.
Intermarriage of the Negro and the white race.
Yeah.
yeah, the Cain and Abel.
his chosen
Well,
people.
I can give you some great quotes about that, guys. In a nutshell,
I'll let Mike explain that for you, so he can do that from his point of view. And I do have to go because I have some. I've got some family stuff with my son, so that's calling my time now.
All right, well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for giving us all that time.
All right, you bet.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, guys. Let me nutshell that. The Mormon Church was full of their leaders were extremely racist from the 1840s up until the 1970s. They actually still have a few racist ones in there, but they wouldn't allow black people to have the priesthood until 1978. Brigham Young said things like, "The moment we consent to mingle with the seed of Cain," meaning black people, the church.
I think the whole country was kind of racist back then.
Well, there was plenty of racist people.
When this guy wrote it, though, he's writing some racist ass shit, into his.
If you're a prophet of God, you shouldn't be racist. The Mormon Church seems to be about 20 or 30 years behind any social or civil movement. I mean, you've got the Civil Rights Act that was passed, 1964, and it wasn't until 1978 that the Mormons came on board and allowed black people to have the priesthood. You've got Equal Rights Amendment, which the Mormon Church fought against rather vocally.
Really? They fought against
totally fought against the Equal Rights Amendment. They don't want
huge history of being.
Women shouldn't be working, let alone be getting equal pay. The same thing with gay marriage.
Did they fight against equal rights for blacks?
I'm sure they did. Actually, yes. There's numerous quotes from church leaders in the 1960s that were very outspoken about blacks and civil rights, and they were opposed to it. There's even a book called the Mormons and the Negro. And they were one of those.
What's that website? Mormonsforgays.org or something?
Mormonsandgays.org, I think.
Or the prophets racist.
They were one of the biggest supporters of California's Prop 8 that was eventually rejected by the courts. But the Mormon Church is literally 20 or 30 years behind the times. So same-sex marriage is legal in the United States now, but yet you still have people like Daniel saying that, they don't support it. And then, of course, he has to change his phrasing because to say he doesn't support it means he doesn't support the laws of the land. And that's one of their articles of faith, that they sustain the laws of the land. This is a tough time for Mormonism. They're losing members by droves. Yeah.
Did you watch that Vice episode or that Vice documentary they did on in Mexico on it was Colonia LeBaron?
I did not.
It was about these Shane Smith goes down there, and I can't tell if they're fundamentalists or not, but they go all the way back. They were Romney's family was there. I guess it was during the time when they all fled to Mexico because of the laws, not letting them, have the plural marriage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's these families that are still there,
How ironic is it that you've got the Mormon Church leaders saying that we support marriage should be between one man and one woman. It has always been like that, and it always will be like that, when literally their great-grandparents were polygamists. I mean, you have to appreciate the irony of somebody like Mitt Romney, who has polygamous ancestors, saying marriage is between one man and one woman. It's like, well, that's funny. Your grandpa didn't feel that way.
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah, but we all don't have the same beliefs as our grandparents had. No,
thankfully no, because a lot of our grandparents were racist, homophobic, sexist sons of bitches.
Yeah, and we're from Indiana.
Go Hoosiers.
Thanks. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap this up. Mike, thanks so much for coming on. It was a blast. You kind of beat that guy up pretty good, and I enjoyed it, I'll be honest.
I have a feeling that Daniel never asked to come back and have another debate.
I felt bad for him, but I was like,
I
was like, you know what? It's his own damn fault.
He told us beforehand he came unprepared.
The funny thing is, so did I. I had the only preparation I had. I had
a list of 25
Fireball sitting in front of me.
Yeah, you had and you had the whole list.
Yeah, well, I didn't have my list written down, but that was from when I listened to his original podcast, 107, CB141, back a few months ago. But yeah, he's an Indiana Jones wannabe Mormon apologist, and it's hard to defend Mormonism when literally 100% of the evidence says you're wrong. Archaeology, anthropology, genetics, botany, zoology. Everything.
Yeah, someone tweeted us and said that those prehistoric horses were tapirs or something. Did you read that? Like they were, so they were never domesticated.
Most Mormon apologists will say that they weren't horses; they were tapirs. I think that's how they pronounce tapir. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. They have the craziest beliefs, and bless their little hearts, they think that 99.99% of the world is wrong and they're right. And by golly, one day we're all going to know that they were right and we were all wrong.
Yeah.
Well,
all right.
I hope the best.
You guys
for
have
all
a
of
good
them.
night. I'm going to have my last shot of Fireball and go join some friends at a local restaurant. So,
all right, take it easy, sir.
Take care.
Hey,
great talking to you guys.
hey. Did you have the Asperger's?
Yes, actually, I do have Asperger's.
That going all right? Do you go into like any sort of therapy to kind of figure out how to talk to people?
No.
Is that, what does that do to you?
You know, honestly, it's not really. You know, I'm 47 years old. It wasn't until I was like 45 years old.
It seems like you get along, just fine. I mean, you don't come off to me like I know people who have Asperger's and you don't seem like them at all.
You know, there's varying degrees of it. Asperger's is on the autism spectrum, and there's bad cases of Asperger's where it's very clearly obvious that there is an issue, and then there's less extreme cases.
So you don't have to get treated or anything.
No. I just need to. Well, it depends. If you ask my girlfriend, I probably do, but no. I think I keep it for the most part under control.
What would it do? Like, what does it mean?
That is a whole nother podcast, my friend. Google what is Asperger's, and you'll get 10,000 different answers. It's a condition that we're just now beginning to understand, and there's a lot we don't know about it yet.
Okay, what are the symptoms, signs?
Oh, sweet Jesus. Again, you're getting into a whole nother podcast there.
All right, well, we'll let you go then. We'll look it up later.
Yeah, look up. Google Asperger's. Asperger's is it's an interesting condition, and it is something that I have come to understand and accept that I have. And I jokingly tell some of my friends that I put the ass in Asperger's.
All right.
So,
well,
we'll talk again sometime, I hope.
Thanks so much. NewNameNoah.
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 Yeah. Go to YouTube. Yeah, YouTube channel NewNameNoah, and I'm on Twitter, of course, at NewNameNoah.
We'll have to edit that out too. Oh, okay.
Peace out.
NewNameNoah.
Peace out, guys.
Later.
Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Nicole. We're gonna go.
Bye.
That was awesome.
Take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
While I'm loading the music, shout out to on Twitter to
Tweety
and Mormon No, Don Carlos, Tweety Bird. I didn't open up the Twitter until the end. So sorry, guys.
Nomo.
And we tried to do, the phone thing wasn't working for some reason. We answered the phone and no one was there. Joe Mofo Xmo, shout out to you.
Let Daniel know that he lost the debate. No. All right. We'd like to thank Mike and Daniel. Jake, did any stupid person of the week?
No, I don't know.
Oh, fail. I'm too old to use the word fail. Thank you to Darren Snyder, Indian Tune, Mike Moore from the World Bubble Full of Dicks Internet Radio Program, John G. from 405 Media Group, Kenny and Mike from Howie at the Coffee Shop, Mary Elizabeth Rumsey, Rich Rucker from Punk Rock Night at the Melody Inn. Every Saturday night is Punk Rock Night. Jake, who do you want to thank, buddy?
I'd love to thank Ron at Radio Mix Music, Jeremy at Couch Potato Nation, Mark at Tangent Bound Network, Jack at the Mix FM, Suma Peter at Loudtown Online Radio, Mike from the Wheelbarrow Full of Dicks Internet Radio Program, Tom
Toby
from TalkStream Live, Mike at Iron Internet Radio Network, Toby at Radio Blitz,
the Morris Sound Man of United Sounds Choice,
Tico at FJS Radio, Peter at Cornucopia Broadcasting, TJ at Deep Talk Radio. What happened? Big Nate on the air.
What the fuck
at
you doing?
Cover Charge Radio. Dropping bombs.
That was good. Thanks, everybody.
Bum, 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 bum.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening to this show and telling your friends about it. We really appreciate it. And now we got to just kind of do an old school ad. John, tell the people.
There's all types of ways you can help. Just really quickly try to get through. ChrisBreakshow.com. Go to ChrisBreakshow.com and click on that thing. And there's a bunch of different ways. The first one is you can become a premium subscriber. If you love the Chris Break Show, you can
You
subscribe
get random bonus stuff.
to a monthly premium subscription. It's $10 every 30 days, and you get all types of cool bonus content every month just for the premium subscribers. So there's that. Another thing you can do is go through our Amazon.com wish list. We have some stuff on the wish list, and if you want to buy it through that,
Oh yeah,
There's a link.
that sounds fun. I want people to send us stuff that's not on the wish list because I don't know what's on that thing. But I want good, fun stuff that somebody wants to take advantage of their Amazon Prime, and just shoot something over here that you think we'd enjoy. Give us something to put in the studio.
and you can also, if you shop on Amazon, we have a little shopping cart. Go to ChrisBreakshow.com, click on that thing, and scroll down and click on the shopping cart each time you're going to buy something, and a little bit of money comes back to the Chris Break Show. You can also donate via PayPal on the That Thing page.
No lava lamps, please.
And last but not least, you can leave us a positive review on iTunes. That means iTunes shows us more love and more people can hear the show.
Yeah, do that. That's the fun one. I like that one the most. Five stars. iTunes.
You can also, if you need a
Oh.
website, we can give you website hosting through HostGator.
We can't do that. Hey, go to HostGator.com. Promo code, type in Chris Break Show.
Yep, you get 20% off your hosting. So those are different ways you can help the show. We really appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you play it, and I know this is recording, and I hope you play it. Okay, see you guys.